it out. And so let's do it from that perspective.
Well, thank you very much. And it's always a pleasure to be on your program. I always get a lot of positive feedback from it. Again, I'm Dr. EKSanford, and I guess educationally I will start off by saying I did a postdoc degree at Penn State University in State College, Pennsylvania, where we were dealing with gerontology, the study of the aged, and social environment issues during that time. I finished my doctorate degree at Howard University in Washington, D.C., where one of my primary interests was that of social gerontology, the criminal justice system, and social stratification. And so that was one of the strong emphases while I worked there. I did my dissertation on the homeless elderly. And while I was there was a homeless shelter that I worked in. And so I went there and did case study analysis by interviewing homeless people, which was a very interesting dissertation that I did at that time. Also while there, I worked at the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. These were chiefs of police throughout the United States, hence kind of connected to our topic today, African Americans in the criminal justice system. And I had a concentration in looking at mediation and issues concerning the African American experience in urban areas throughout the United States. I also worked at the national headquarters of the American Red Cross while in the Washington, D.C. area and working on my doctorate degree. And there we were dealing with what's very relevant even today on HIV/AIDS education. And we were initiated by the Congress of the United States and the Centers for Disease Control to implement programs which are still going on today. So I felt very privileged to be a part of that on-thrust that's still national and international. And I feel very strong about that experience in my life. Did my undergraduate degree in North Carolina at North Carolina Central University. I also did courses at UNC in Chapel Hill and worked on a very interesting project on school desegregation at Duke University while I was working on my master's degree, on looking at student motivation and student retention at institutions of higher education. But I am from North Carolina, and then from that point I was from leaving Howard and Penn State, I went to the University of Montana, where I was a professor there, and then at Austin Peay, and now presently, as you mentioned, at Tennessee State University. I've been here for over 15 years.
Dr. Sanford, you've got so much information, and and just talking about your experiences and et cetera, I see so many topics that comes out of all of that information and et cetera. But let's look at the criminal justice system today. I think we're going to have our first commercial break in about a minute and a half. But let's sort of lay down some information in reference to the criminal justice system. We'll have our first commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll continue that for the next 8 minutes.